We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please note that we've got 4 board members present. Jean is calling in. Item 2.2, conflicts of interest. Are there any to report at this time? Hearing none, move to item 2.3 and seek a motion to review and approve the agenda for this evening.
I would note no action after the executive session tonight, as we do not have a completed negotiations package for you to consider. So we will update you in executive session, but no action.
Is there a motion to approve with that amendment?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson.
Second.
Second by Carrie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That motion's approved. Item 2.4, we will seek a motion to approve the minutes from the March 10th and 31st meetings. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Lohr.
Second.
Second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. Item 2.5, turn it over to Heidi for the financial reports for March 2025.
Thank you. The general fund received the typical amount of taxes along with the regular state aid payment in the amount of $1,115,577, with notation that the ending cash position of $5.4 million reflects an anticipated decrease from the previous 2 years. In the capital outlay fund, the revenue of $1.2 million exceeded the moderate expenditures for the month, with the typical tax proceeds receipted and moderate expenditures reported. Included in the revenue receipts was $130,000 in contributions from the Ingalls Family Foundation for support of the lockers in the athletic complex, and $845,000 from proceeds of the Roosevelt sale. The cash balance for the month ended at a reported $5.9 million. Special education revenue consists of a small amount of taxes in the amount of $154,375 and budgeted state aid. The revenue was significantly exceeded by the expenditures noted at $732,000, which is typical for the month of March. The cash balance of $2.4 million in this fund is maintained over the prior year. K-12 Nutrition reported that expenditures exceeded the revenue during the month, with fluctuating inventory and students working through established lunch account payments. The ending cash position of $80,000 is below the previous year and will require an evaluation of breakfast and lunch pricing to align inflationary pricing increases in order to support the operation. LATC revenue included $525,000 in state support and $489,000 in federal funding. State sources included tuition assistance, Bartles equipment funds, manufacturing solutions, and support for career and technical student organizations. Federal revenue included allocations from the National Science Foundation's Advanced Technologies Grant and Perkins funding. The ending cash position of $11 million exceeds the prior year's level, primarily due to the timing of state and grant reimbursements. In the Employee Benefit Trust, premium was reported at $740,000 and exceeded the claims in the amount of $633,000 for the month of March. The ending cash position of $3.4 million in this fund has declined from previous years. Premium levels are currently being evaluated during the negotiation process. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Heidi? Hearing none, we'll move to the student staff recognition.
All right, welcome everybody. We've got a great group of students to be recognized this evening. I will start with speech and debate awards. So when I announce you, I will announce by groups. Come on up. You'll get a certificate from a board member, and they'll have you just file on by here because we want to get you into that camera. And then it's also a photo op if parents, if you want to come up and take a picture when your son or daughter is recognized. So, state debate was held March 7th and 8th in Brookings. And from that particular state event, Aiden Calvert was a state champion in the Lincoln Douglas debate. Abby Peterson was a quarterfinalist in the public forum debate and international extemp qualifier. Grace Remmers was a quarterfinalist in the public forum debate. And Whitney Martinson was an octo finalist in the Lincoln Douglas debate. So we'll get a group shot of you from the state event. Thank you. Next, we have the World Schools Qualifier team. Team members are Aiden Calvert, Whitney Martinson, Grace Remmers, Hayden Zabrowski, and Lennon McIntosh. Come on up. And finally, Watertown Speech and Debate qualified 3 students for the National Speech and Debate Tournament, which will be held in Des Moines, Iowa in June. So qualifying for the National Speech and Debate Tournament are David Lechner for Duo Interp, Tyson Canfield for Duo Interp. I bet that's the duo. And Sonny Rader for storytelling. Come over here, guys. Next, we have some wrestling awards. First, our academic All-State, Josie Altoff, Jaron Fieber, Leo Stroop, and Ethan Wenches. Ethan, we'll get you into that camera too. Finally, state placing. We had 6 champions from Watertown this year. Girls 107 champion, Olivia Anderson. Girls 185 champion, Allison Conrad. And girls 235 champion, Eden Hawk. Boys 120 champion, Shay Richter. Boys 138 champion, Gage Lohr. And 285 champion, boys, Micah Hawk. All right. Earning academic All-State in gymnastics, Marley Wadsworth. In girls basketball, academic All-State, Grace Corey, Emma Hendricks, Madison Grimsrud, Molly Hendricks, and student manager Olivia Reese. Boys basketball, academic all-state, Mitch Olson. And student manager, Kenley Saxton. Also tonight, I have State Senator Glenn Vilhauer and State Representative Matt Roby with a couple of special proclamations.
Where do you want us?
You can come up where the board members were there.
I'm Glenn Vilhauer. I'm a senator from District 5 here in Watertown. And with me I've got Matt Roby, representative from District 5 here also in Watertown. It was our pleasure to serve out in Pierre this year. And, you know, in the course of, we just finished up 2 weeks ago, or finished up our 38th day, our 100th session out there. In the course of that 38th day,
Not ours. The state's is the
oh, state, I'm sorry. State as a whole. There we go. Thank you. Anyway, the state, we received over 500 bills of various sorts that we had to deal with throughout the course of the legislation session. And some of those bills aren't a whole lot of fun to deal with. Well, there's a few that are a little more enjoyable to work on, and those are called commemorations. And Matt and I kind of collaborated. We said, you know, since in 2024, we had several state championship teams that we would like to have recognized in the House and the Senate out in Pierre. So with that, Matt took the bull by the horns on that and did 90% of the work. So with that, I'll turn over to him as far as what he's got to present tonight.
Yeah, thank you. So the thing is with commemorations is that they get put on the calendar and they don't get discussed really. You can get up and say a few words about them if you'd like, but they essentially automatically pass unless somebody has an objection. And on this first one, I had some threatened objectors from the city of Pierre, but they stood down. So this first one is a legislative commemoration honoring the Arrows as the 2024 Class 11 AA football state champions. So I'm going to read these and get through them here. Whereas the Watertown Arrows qualified for the state tournament as the second seed and advanced to the state championship game following a 27 win over the third seed Brookings Bobcats in a semifinal game. And whereas the Arrows defeated the Pierre Governors, who entered the game as 7-time consecutive state champions, in the championship game with a score of 14-13 and captured their first state championship since 2001. And whereas the Arrows' impressive season ended with a 10-2 record, the first 10-win season for the Arrows since 2007. And whereas the Arrows' assistant coach, Kelly O'Connor, was awarded the Assistant Coach of the Year for Class 11 AA by the South Dakota Football Coaches Association for his commitment to excellence and dedication. Now therefore be it commemorated by the 100th legislature of the state of South Dakota that the Watertown Arrows are the 2024 Class 11 AA football state champions. So that's the football.
We have Coach John Hodorf here to represent the Arrows football team.
There's 3 in sleeves and 3 not in sleeves. So feel free to distribute those as you wish.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Next we have the 2024 girls golf team, who also won a state championship. So whereas the Watertown Arrows in 2024 captured their first girls golf team state championship since 1979, and whereas the Arrows secured the state championship with a total team score of 649 points over 2 rounds, edging out the competition, and whereas the Arrows were led to victory by standout performances from Aspen Reynolds, who led the team with a remarkable 77 on the final day, and Shelby Pearson, whose consistent play culminated in a score of 78. And whereas Avery Palmquist and Gabby Olson also contributed significantly to the team's success, scoring 80 and 81 respectively. Now therefore be it commemorated by the 100th legislature of the state of South Dakota that the Watertown Arrows are the 2024 Class 11 AA state girls golf team champions.
Coach Corey Neal to accept that.
Congratulations. Here's 6 copies. 6 copies. last one's you two. You want to stay up here.
Stay up there.
So this last one was especially meaningful to me and school board member Stein over here, as the Arrows boys golf team won the state championship in 2024. Stuart and I are alumni of the golf team. So whereas the Arrows secured the state championship with an overall score of 7 under par, clinching their second consecutive state championship title, and whereas the Arrows Ty Leonards won the Class AA state individual boys golf title, scoring 8 under par, and whereas the Arrows team members Caden Rylance finished tied for 7th place with 2 under par, Gabe Norberg shot 3 over par and tied for 14th place, Jonathan Lake tied for 17th place at 4 over par, Jaden Solheim placed 26th with 7 over par, and Max Stemwedel tied for 27th place with 8 over par. And whereas the Arrows were expertly led by head coach Corey Neal and assistant coach Ryan Neal, now therefore be it commemorated by the 100th legislature of the state of South Dakota that the Watertown Arrows are the 2024 Class 11 AA state boys golf champion.
I'd just like to say, well, one last thing. There are probably other groups and individuals that could have been recognized, but I do want to specifically mention there were several of the forensic students that were mentioned a few minutes ago. I had the pleasure of introducing from the Senate floor when I was out in Pier midway through the session, so it was kind of an honor to me to be able to recognize some of the hometown kids that were out there, so it was an honor for me. And I don't know, did you get a chance in the outside, Matt, to do
Yes.
that?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your service to education, too.
Oh, hang on just one second, please. Just when you thought we were done with all the positive news and all the recognition, there is one more thing. And it is actually quite the announcement here that I have the privilege of sharing with all of you. We have in our presence the recipient of the Outstanding School Superintendent Award, Dr. Jeff Danielson. So with that, here are some words. Yearly, the SDSSA Executive Committee shall select one of its members as the Outstanding South Dakota School Superintendent for that previous year. The superintendent selected must demonstrate creativity in successfully meeting the needs of students in his or her school system, strength in both personal and organizational communication, constant improvement of administrative knowledge and skills while providing professional development opportunities and motivation to others on the educational team, and active participation in local community activities and an understanding of regional, national, and international issues. And as I was going through the information that was provided to me after I was made aware of Dr. Danielson being awarded this, I went through his letters of recommendation. And there were some points within the letters of recommendation that really stood out to me, and I wanted to share these phrases and words with you. Dr. Danielson is a person of integrity, passion, and dedication. His role in a large school district creates obstacles in creating relationships with staff. But through daily visits at all buildings in which he personally hands out birthday candy bars and monthly pizza party YouTube videos, he works diligently to bridge the gap. He inspires those around him, and he continues to set a high standard for excellence in public education. No matter the context, he has consistently demonstrated that he chooses his profession for the betterment of students and to support his team. He leans into the responsibilities he has to continuously grow as a professional and to lead in his community. And Dr. Danielson has an uncommon ability to lead for students' benefit, has an innate care for the future of our community, and showcases a passion for growing future educators. Dr. Danielson is a fellow fellow Augie alum with me, but he's also an alum of USF and USD, so he's pretty much got all the major roles covered. Dr. Danielson started in the WHS district here, Watertown School District, in 2017. I'm actually the last member of the original board that hired Dr. Danielson, so kind of neat for me to be able to see this come to full circle, full turn here in this 8-year period. And some news and notes here for you. So there are 148 superintendents in the state of South Dakota. And as I was going back and forth on this list with Becky Guffin, the superintendent from Aberdeen, here is that list of recipients. You'll notice that there are actually no other Watertown superintendents on this list. So Dr. Danielson is the first in Watertown school history. So congratulations, Dr. Danielson.
Thank you. I'm glad I don't have to speak for a little bit. I appreciate everything.
And just so you know, your big face is going to be on our billboard congratulating you for the next
Surprise.
big week. So there's your
Hope it doesn't cause any traffic problems.
there's your personalized slide that's going to be on the Hy-Vee billboards.
Thank you.
So-
I mean, I didn't know you were doing this tonight, but just thanks to all of our administrators in the back too, and our staff. You know, it's just wonderful to be a part of the school district, and so I thank you for continuing to have me back each year and allowing me to serve in this capacity. Man, 20 years in this thing, so I appreciate it.
You deserve it. Congratulations. Okay, I suppose you're free to go if you'd like.
You're gonna put that on a static billboard instead of a digital.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Thanks for the idea. Okay, we'll move to item 3.1, public input on agenda or non-agenda items, if anyone's here to speak on behalf. Item 3.2 then, we'll invite President Sanderson up for discussing the 2035 Master Campus Plan.
Good evening, everyone. Really pleased to be able to share publicly where we're headed as a college over these next 10 years, and appreciate all the school board members who have been part of conversations to get us to this point. What I'll share with you tonight is the culmination of 5 months of work by literally hundreds of people weighing in on what they would like to see happen for Lake Area Tech between now and 2035. So we'll start tonight answering a couple of questions that came up when we met on March 31st related to tuition and fee setting. During that meeting, we talked about maintenance and repair fees that students pay both at the state level and at the local level. And on the screen behind you, we've outlined those facilities that are owned by Lake Area Technical College and those facilities that are owned by the state of South Dakota. Lake Area Tech-owned facilities are those that are free and clear investments made by Lake Area Tech and our donors through private contributions. State-owned facilities either are entirely paid for through HEFA bonding dollars, or a portion of the facility is owned by the state because of contributions from the state legislature. So in red, you'll see the original part of campus at the north end. The 100 and 200 buildings are owned locally here by Lake Area Technical College, as is the building that our auto body and paint program is housed out of on the east side of campus. And then as you get down to the south end of campus, you'll see that the new diesel addition, the lab on the west side of campus, and then our cold storage facilities on both the east and west side of campus are all owned by the college. If we look beyond what you see here, the hangar out at the airport that houses our aviation maintenance program is owned by the state. Renovations done in the late 90s were part of a state project. We lease several facilities, including where our pilot program is based out of, the old terminal for the Watertown Regional Airport, and our heavy equipment operator facilities. As leased facilities, we are locally responsible as the college to invest maintenance and repair dollars to take care of boilers or roof issues or whatever may be needed within the context of specific lease agreements. So from a square footage standpoint, you can see that the majority of campus is owned under state agreements. And so as we think about maintenance and repair dollars that come to us through student fees, that's now going to be $8 per credit at the state level after July 1st and $1 locally. All together, we put in over $1 million worth of maintenance and repair to keep our facilities up to date and looking as good of condition, functioning in as efficient a condition as we possibly can. Anything that's state owned, we have to put those state fee dollars towards, and then anything that's locally owned, we can put that $1 fee assessment that students pay per credit plus additional from our general fund to make up that total contribution. So Jean, I know on the phone this was a question that you had. I'm happy to share this slide with you so you can see kind of the breakdown of the facilities across campus. But as we look ahead into our FY26 budget and we talk about maintenance and fee investments, and we talk in the master campus plan about deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed over these next 10 years, that's kind of the breakout between locally owned and state owned. I'll pause there for any questions that you might have. All right, well, let's dive in. Let's talk about the future and what can be. So, as I mentioned, this has been a 5-month-long process to get a whole host of input around where we go from here as a college. So tonight we'll talk a little bit about why we entered into this planning process, how we got to the final product that we're sharing out with you and the public tonight, and then what the first steps look like in the process, and what some of the costs and impacts to the campus will be if everything comes together as sketched out here. So why did we do this? Why did we go through a 10-year planning process and think about the future of campus? A variety of reasons, but really looking at how do we continue to grow our graduate numbers aligned with what the industry and the workforce needs are here in our region. That's really the driver of this conversation. Lake Area Tech over the years has engaged in a variety of master campus plans. This is the third in recent years. There was a plan in 2007, one in 2016, and now coming out publicly in 2025. We want to make sure that wherever we go from here, the facilities, the experience that we provide to our students aligns with the mission of why Lake Area Tech exists. And I think as we get into this, the details, you'll see that alignment very closely. And frankly, we have a ton of great momentum and energy on campus right now. We want to continue that forward and continue to build on both the reputation and the opportunity that we provide to students on our campus. All of this conversation is framed within our 2030 goals and carrying those goals into 2035, this 10-year period. We want to make sure that what we offer at Lake Area Tech is an affordable option for students. It aligns well with industry needs, and that we're able to help our students attain credentials that serve them well in the workforce. This is a slide that I shared with you back in the fall as we were talking about our current enrollment and where we are looking to grow into the future. Last September, when we talked through our current enrollment, we were hoping to get to 2,700 students after the summer session this year. And as you know, we broke record enrollment with 2,707 students in January. So we're going to be a little bit ahead of where our projection was for the 24-25 school year. But as we go through this, as with any planning process, there will be ebbs and flows. And so we'll go through those natural cycles. Our real goal here is by the end of 2030 to be at about 3,400 students on campus. 3,400 students will allow us to graduate about 1,015 graduates per year, and that's our real growth goal around attainment. So with this in mind, we framed out the master campus plan, fully aligned with our mission, which is about being the best in technical education so that we can help our students change their lives and launch their careers. A little trip down memory lane helps to provide some context for where we go as we look ahead. Our campus, our very first building opened in 1967, and you can see on the screen how different parts of campus grew up through 2007 when one of the recent campus plans came together. After 2007 and into 2016, there were 4 major additions onto campus that really changed the landscape of campus. And that continued as we finished up Master Campus Plan with the opening of the Archway last fall. So in the natural life cycle of things, we started the next Master Campus Plan to look ahead through 2035. And that brings us to how did we get to this plan? We've engaged a ton of folks over the last 5 months. Students, our faculty and staff, community members, alumni members, our partners from industry, to have them weigh in through personal conversations, through surveys, through focus group meetings on really what next needs to look like for campus. And with all of the input that was brought together and looking at the needs that industry have brought to us, we were able to say, this proposal, what we're sharing with you tonight, helps to address all of those needs. And you'll see the very last line on the screen says it's an ambitious plan. It is a very ambitious plan to get all of this done in the next 10 years, but as with former Master Campus Plans, what was set forward gave direction and guidance for pulling together funding sources and helping to really grow programs in a way that aligned with industry's needs. And we'll talk some as we get to how do we move the needle through this work, the types of programs that will be able to grow within Lake Erie Tech's campus, both with current programs and then bringing some additional on board. All of you, from the school board perspective, were part of a couple of different workshops and input sessions where we gathered a ton of feedback. Online surveys gave us a lot of clarity from the perspectives of stakeholder groups, and all of those responses then came together with the principal projects that we're looking to tackle. What did we hear from folks through that input process? There are a whole host, a wide variety of needs, wants, and ideas about our campus community. As students weighed in, they expressed their desire for building community on campus and convenient options. For faculty and staff, they wanted to make sure that across campus consistently there were really quality facilities available for learning and their own personal work. And then from our community and alumni perspective, keeping the college's public image, our reputation of success front and center was shown through all of that input. Our goal is to balance growth on campus, meaning the addition of facilities, with taking care of our existing programs and facilities. And so I think through what you'll see here, both of those are met. If you think ahead to 2035, back to 2016, looking at a 20-year period there, and if there was deferred maintenance in the last few years, 10 years from now, those needs will really be highlighted even greater, and so we've accounted for all of those through this plan. We've been able to boil down to 5 guiding principles. Quality across the board. We want to make sure older parts of campus are updated for quality learning environments, and new facilities will last us generations of students. That campus continues to be a connected community, that we are bold about where we go from here. I think that's one of the things that Lake Erie Tech can be proud of in its history. There hasn't been a time when Lake Erie Tech hasn't been bold. It being the first technical college in the state kind of set the precedent for its future in that regard, and it's held true to that all the way along. Of course, we'd like to be responsible and resourceful in the dollars that we have available to us and make sure everything aligns to the purpose for our existence, our mission. So from all of that, we have 7 opportunities that have been highlighted for the work. What you see on the left-hand side of the screen require a phased approach, meaning they have to be done in a particular order for everything to work as efficiently as possible. On the right-hand side of the screen are projects that can be done at any point in time because of their locations on campus, or in the case of student housing partnerships, Lake Erie Tech can't own those facilities directly, but we can work with private developers to create increased opportunity for student housing in town. So on the left-hand side, the phased projects, that really starts with replacing one of our cold storage units so that we can allow our maintenance staff a home base and provide some flexible learning space as changes happen across campus through this plan. So no one's out of space, or we don't have a program that would be closed for a certain period of time while facilities are adjusted or constructed. The second project is a public safety training center, which would become home to our law enforcement, med fire rescue, associate of social work, and child care technician programs. The third is to create program hubs. For anybody who's been on campus, either in the Archway or the Prairie Lakes Healthcare Center, you know how much students use those spaces for studying, for building community, student activities, and that's been a request through this input process for more of that on campus. The fourth project would be to construct a construction trades center, and one of the really great pieces of feedback that we received across all stakeholder groups was a concern for safety and security on campus, meaning lighting, crosswalks, the edges of campus, parking, all would be done in favor of students and the public's safety as we go forward. So that's a piece of this project. I'll share with you the early steps from the left-hand side of the screen we just looked at. So again, this requires a phased approach, and though we don't have specific timelines tied to these, this gives kind of a sense for what's to come in the early stages of the master campus plan. If you're familiar with the southwest side of campus, just directly south of where we sit today, behind the lab we have a maintenance and a storage facility, cold storage facility, that is beyond its useful life. And so we would pull down what we know as the red shed and construct a replacement facility that at the end of all of the shifting on campus would house our maintenance staff and our commercial driver's license program and trucks. It would be attached potentially to the lab facility so that we can put classrooms between those two lab spaces to give us the most usage in that square footage. And from there, we would start the process of centralizing all student services into the 500 building, or more commonly known as the Student Services Center. Right now we have some student services and testing that are spread throughout campus. We would start to centralize all of that. And that would allow us at the very north end of campus to expand our healthcare simulation lab and add in a new healthcare program in that space. And the follow-up steps would move our computer information systems programs. There's 3 programs in that suite. It's graphic design, networking and cybersecurity, and software development and database administration. Those would move over into the Archway and into the 900 building, and then that would allow us to renovate the full Student Services Center to be the hub of all student services across campus. So esports, testing, adult education, the library, the net, student activities would all move into that space. Probably the most dramatic piece of this plan is thinking about the future of Central Campus. The 200 building currently houses the library, a host of classrooms, a couple of restrooms, and some of our student services. That building was constructed in 1987. The only plumbing to that building is to the restrooms at the center of that building. And so as we think about, we have a good amount of classrooms, general classrooms on campus. The real need as we go forward is for lab spaces that are specialized to our technical education offerings. The current building, by the time we're at the end of this campus plan, will be 40 years old, and with little in the way of infrastructure to that facility, either on electrical or plumbing, we would pull down the current 200 building and in its place construct the Public Safety Training Center. And just to give you a sense of what that could potentially look like, this would house Med Fire Rescue on the north end, law enforcement, the Associate of Social Work program, and a child care technician program. All of those programs are areas where we have the opportunity to grow the number of students who are in those programs with expanded technical lab space in line with what the needs are in industry in South Dakota. So that kind of rounds out the first stages to move forward. And as I said, there isn't a specific timeline set on any of these pieces. We need to pull the funding sources together, and we're looking at a variety of funding sources to do that. Before I move into the rest of the campus planning, any questions on what I've shared so far? All right. What's this mean for existing facilities? We want to make sure that the care of our existing facilities doesn't go by the wayside as we expand technical lab spaces. And so we would be looking at creating program hubs, again, similar to what you've seen in the Archway and the Prairie Lakes Healthcare Center, and then updating or providing those types of spaces for agriculture, advanced manufacturing. Our business program is in the Archway now. The Public Safety Training Center would give that as well. It would also expand our technical spaces for aviation, and that would combine what's currently the annex, what we call the aviation maintenance hangar, and then the leased terminal buildings out at the airport facilities. And it would add in the construction trades center, so our auto body and paint program, building trades program would have a new home to allow for additional parking on campus and to move away from some facilities that are beyond their useful life. And it would also give us some space for additional trades programs. So just as a sense, trying to bring major like programs together. You see auto, healthcare, public safety, cosmetology. We talked about the Student Support Services Center already. Business and financial services have found their home in the Archway. Robotics, electronics, and computers would centralize together, and then we would have space for energy and agriculture and manufacturing and diesel at the south end of campus. So very high level picture of where we could be in 2035. What does it cost to do this plan? Great question. The estimate to construct facilities, to expand our opportunity to grow our graduate number and to address maintenance needs across campus is ballpark somewhere in the $100 to $120 million range. Much of this depends on when those construction projects take place. The longer we wait, the more likely the cost increases. So that's kind of the ballpark at this point. As it's been with the last two campus plans, the order, the sequence of these projects will depend on which funding we can get together. But as I outlined for you, there's a couple of places where we really need to be thoughtful and sequential in what we share and what we do. What does this do for Lake Area Tech over the next 10 years? It allows us to grow that number of graduates up to 1,015 or beyond, depending on the 2030 to 2035 timeframe. We continue to offer high-value options for our students, and as we go forward, and all of us are familiar with changing demographics in South Dakota's population, part of this master campus plan requires that we continue to recruit traditionally aged students, and we provide opportunities for older students looking to get a college credential or to re-career, an opportunity to see an option at Lake Area Tech that works for their life and their schedule. Obviously, we want to continue on as one of the top colleges in the country in the 2-year space and grow Watertown's economy, both from the impact of having students here in town while they're earning their education and inviting them to stay after they've graduated. So that's really, as we look ahead in these next 10 years, what we're trying to hone in on through these campus planning efforts. And I'll stand by for any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Pretty exciting to see how this has come to fruition. Can't get anywhere without a plan, and obviously this is a good starting point. Well, we'll transition then to personnel and start. It doesn't look like we have any retirements.
We don't.
Okay, so we'll move to resignations then.
Very good, and I'm working off the blue sheet in front of you tonight. Before you are 2 resignations, and I recommend your approval as those are presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation. Second?
Motion by Lohr, second by Rossman. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none, on favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Contract recommendations and addendums.
Before you are a variety of contracts, part-time temporary agreements, and adjunct contracts. I recommend your approval as those are presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's been approved as well. We'll move to property, item 4.2.1, with the consideration of a change order.
Thank you. In your board packet, you'll find 6 modifications to the surgical technology construction project. The main cost in those change orders is cleaning out the main sewer line and adding some pipe and moving some pipe to work through the structural beams within that project. So the total cost on those modifications would be $15,967. That brings the contingency for this project to $25,884, and the total cost on the surgical tech remodel to $981,380. I recommend your approval as those are presented.
Is there a motion to approve the change order?
So moved.
We have a motion by Iverson.
Second.
Second, Moulton.
I think we've got a second, first by Rossman. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Move to item 4.2.2 with consideration of the Strategic Advisory Council appointment.
Thank you. Tonight I'm recommending the board approve the appointment of Corey Ravenberg, who is the Chief of Staff for Summit Contracting. Corey would bring great thought leadership to the Strategic Advisory Council. He leads all HR efforts for Summit Contracting across the region. Summit has become a great partner with our building trades program on campus. Corey also has experience 28 years as a National Guard member and employee. So he has a variety of perspectives. He knows the construction industry, knows military, understands our students and the opportunities before them in technical education. And with your approval, he would serve a term beginning with approval and going through March of 2028. I'll stand by for any questions.
Is there a motion to approve the appointment?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Lohr. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Item 4.2.3 with the consideration of the equipment bid for motorized overhead crane system.
Thank you. This month, bids came in, or one bid came in for an overhead crane system in our building trades program. This would allow our building trades students to learn commercial construction within our current existing lab, and it came in far under budget at $225,000. This crane system and installation would be supported with grant funds provided by the state, and it meets all of our specifications.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the crane system?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. We'll move to item 4.2.4 with the consideration of surplus resolution.
There's a resolution in the board packet to surplus for disposal and a liner with sensors. This is in our auto program and has reached, or is beyond its useful life in the program, so recommend your approval of that resolution.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Lohr. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Last but not least, the consideration of the equipment lease agreements.
Very good. Before you are lease agreements for 6 low-cost leases that would provide equipment usage for our heavy equipment operator students, and 1 low-cost lease agreement for equipment in our ag program. Those lease agreements provided by Transource and Titan Machinery, and appreciate those companies providing so much support for our programs and keeping them affordable.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to item 5.1, if there's anyone here from the public to speak on agenda or non-agenda items. Seeing none, we'll move to item 5.2, Northeast Tech Report.
Yes, we have our April meeting on Wednesday night, 5:45. So for those board members who are a member of the Northeast Tech Board, we'll see you on Wednesday at 5:45.
We will transition now to an update with our English as a second language update.
All right. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Becca Briggs. I am the principal at Lincoln Elementary, Sunrise Colony, and also the director of ESL for the Watertown School District. As we talk about the ESL program for the school district, I'm just going to start from beginning to end, really how we identify our students, how we educate them, and how we help them exit the program. I'll also touch a little bit on our migrant program as well. Our enrollment process is streamlined. It is according to the Department of Ed. So we start by providing home language surveys to any student who registers in the Watertown School District. So it's not just students who we think may be English learners. It is every single student who comes into our school district. We provide a home language survey. If they indicate on that home language survey that they speak a different language, we automatically ask our ESL teachers to screen them. That screening includes listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills using heavy content vocabulary. And if the student qualifies, if they don't score a 5 or above on the screener, they will automatically be notified that they are in our program as English learners. Just a note for our kinders, when we do screen our kindergartners in their first semester, we only do listening and speaking as part of that screener, and they can not qualify for the program with those. Our location of our students, we have approximately 140 students in the Watertown School District that have qualified as English learners and throughout the entire school district. So we have junior kindergarten through 12th grade. English learners, they're at McKinley. Any English learner who is grades 1 through 4 are at Lincoln Elementary. We house all of the English learners for that grade level at Lincoln, and then intermediate school, middle school, high school. And then we also have English learners who are at our colony. So Sunrise Colony has about 10 students who still qualify for English language development at the colony as well. So our 2 teachers out there help facilitate that. We currently have 3 full-time teachers who are designated as our ESL teachers. They teach English as a second language. They have to be certified. They have an English as a new language endorsement that they get to be those teachers. And we also have paraprofessionals who support across the school district as well. So all of our teachers have a paraprofessional that helps in some way, whether it's providing supplemental instruction to those students to help them out, or just supporting the teacher in the classroom or in a sheltered class as well. For English language development, our ESL teachers have very specific curriculum that they provide for our students. So it is curriculum that is made to work on their listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills in content vocabulary. So very content specific work. We also have what we call sheltered instruction at the high school level. That is taught by, we actually have a sheltered English class and a sheltered Algebra 1 class this year at the high school. And those are taught by English and math teachers. They are not ENL endorsed teachers, but those content teachers. Next year, the high school is going to add 1 level, so they have sheltered Algebra 1 and sheltered Geometry as part of their instruction. What's unique about those sheltered instruction classes is that we put our English learners who have really low proficiency levels into those classes, and so they can still get their English classes, their math classes, but as a whole, the teacher will modify or differentiate the instruction, continue to meet those standards, but at a level that meets their proficiency level needs as well. And so instead of mixing them in with all of the other students where there would be great level of differentiation between the high learners and the students who need English language development as well, they are able to modify it to a very basic level for those kiddos. The training that we have, I mentioned before that all of our ESL teachers have their ENL endorsement, so it's 2-year endorsement they work on to learn how to teach them, but we also train our teachers in what is called SIOP. It's Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, where they learn how to, all of the strategies that really work well for our English learners, whether it's building background knowledge, providing comprehensible input for those students. It's just really great teaching strategies that's a good reminder for our teachers to use when working with those English learners that might need more manipulatives, pictures, modifications in some way that will help them learn. We work really hard as a complete unit, so it's not just our English language development teachers who are working with our students and providing them the content. Our teachers work really hard too, and so they are regularly teaching those content vocabulary skills to our students as a team, and then hoping that they exit the program. So February is a really big month for our ESL program. We test all our students statewide who are English learners. It's called the Access Test or the English Language Proficiency Test, and that test is very serious to our program. We kind of shut down all of our instruction and just focus with our English learners on that testing. So they get 4 different tests. They do listening, reading, writing, and speaking at all of the different grade levels, and their exit criteria is they have to score a 5 or above on that. The scores can be anywhere from 1 to 6. Some students come to us as newcomers, students who maybe don't have a lot of formal education. We call them SLIFE, students with limited or interrupted formal education, where they're scoring 1s. They come in with a lot of 1 scores, and we work to set goals, and so they hopefully eventually hit that 5. If they're starting at a 1, it often takes them 5 to 7 years to hit that 5, depending on their grade level. Of course, our students who are in kindergarten are learning very, very quickly. Our students who come in to the middle school and high school level, it is harder for them because, again, some of them come with limited formal instruction, and so they're backtracking a lot of their content vocabulary. But to exit, they have to understand the language of language arts, math, science, social studies, and some social language as well. Recently, about 2 or 3 years ago, they added where you can also exit the ESL program by scoring a 4 on the Access with a combination of a proficiency score on the Smarter Balance in ELA. So if they score 3 or 4 on the Smarter Balance and a 4 overall on Access, we can also exit them. We are excited to see our results. We've been working really hard this year with our students, and so results are actually coming to us May 6th. And so we'll go through our 140 students and celebrate those who exited the program, and then make plans for those who are continuing in our program. I also wanted to hit a little bit on our migrant program. It is a separate program that I also run for the school district. We often think of them closely coinciding, but in truth, they are 2 very separate programs. So our migrant students in the Watertown School District, it's anybody who is ages 3 to 21, who is registered in our school district and moves every 3 years or within every 3 years for an agriculture-related business. So if their family moves them for dairy work or different work that is ag-related, if they move every 3 years, they qualify as a migrant student. This, we're always very cognizant of how we are identifying those students. So that is also on our basic registration form. When anybody registers in our school district, it just asks, are you moving here for ag-related business? If they check mark yes, I automatically set up where I meet with the family. I have to do an interview called a certificate of eligibility. It's kind of an intense interview with them to really decide what they're here for, if they are a true migrant, and the Department of Ed helps me determine that they are, in fact, migrant students. With that, then they can stay qualified for 3 years. I don't ask them again for another 3 years. If they move, then the next school would go through that same process with them. So migrant and ESL do not have the same qualifiers. They are not common. The ESL is not necessarily migrant, and migrant is not necessarily ESL. They do often overlap and get confused with one another, but completely separate qualifying indicators for that. And within our school district, we currently have 15. But again, we have a migrant program that's kind of unique in South Dakota where they don't actually move a lot. We don't have seasons in our agriculture where they really would be moving very often. Like some across the country, it might be for orange harvest and then potato harvest and sugar beet harvest. But here we're a little bit more consistent, and so often our students will originally get identified as migrant and then 3 years disqualify for that. So next year we do have quite a few that will be able to move off of that migrant list. So that is our ESL program and our migrant program in a nutshell. Do you guys have questions for me? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we will continue on with the first reading of several policies, BEC, executive session.
Yes, we're continuing our updates to our board policies. So we have before you several first readings, BEC, executive session. There's one addition to the items that can be discussed in executive session. That's emergency or disaster response plans. So that's added there. That's BEC exec session. Then there's the BGA policy development. BGE policy dissemination. That's just a review, no changes there. The BIA we changed that from new member orientation to board member education. It does address the full board as well, but also includes the new member orientation in that. And then BID compensation is also a review. So all of those are part of our update. And then through the GBG-A, the certification of submission of fingerprints, that is a deletion of that policy based off our review of our employee background check procedures and policies. So we were asked or told that we do not need this one. It is incorporated into the other policies. We'll talk about the second reading later in the meeting. But that is recommended through our review. And that one, all of those would be first readings out for review and then brought back in May for a second reading.
Item 6.1, approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments on the bills? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Move to personnel. Item 6.2.1, start with retirements.
2 retirements for you today. Kim Diaz and Amber Case. Thank you to both of them for their years of service with the school district, and we'll recommend the approval of those.
Is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Iverson.
Oh, sorry.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. Item 6.2.2, resignations.
Several resignations are listed, a few in yellow that were added since the last upload, but would recommend your approval of those.
Is there a motion to approve the resignations?
Make a motion to approve resignations.
Got a motion by Laura.
Second.
Second by Rossman. Any questions, comments on the resignations?
Just note, extra duties are pending suitable replacement.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That motion's approved. Item 6.2.3, non-renewals.
3 non-renewals presented there, and would recommend the approval of those.
Is there a motion to approve the non-renewals?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman.
Second.
Second by Lord. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is approved. Item 6.2.4, contract recommendations and addendums.
Several contract recommendations and addendums here. Mentor teacher apprenticeship program that we are running. Those are mentors for paras who are completing a education degree. It's a partnership with the state. Hiring family support specialist replacements as well. And also looking there at our administrative moves as well, and would recommend the approvals here.
And I would include that stipend request in there as well, since we don't have a 6.2.5.
Is there a motion to approve as recommended with the stipend included?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations and stipends.
We got a motion by Laura.
Second?
Second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. Moving on to property, 6.3.1, with the authority to bid the Lincoln School North parking lot.
Yes, it is recommended to request bids for the removal, milling, and overlay, undercutting, gravel base course, and asphalt surfacing for the original Lincoln Main parking lot. This project is identified in the 5-year capital outlay plan and will be incorporated into the preliminary capital outlay budget for 25-26, and that work is anticipated to begin in July of 25.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. 6.3.2, consider the Johnson Controls project.
It is recommended to approve the installation contract to complete the Millette and McKinley Elementary cooling projects this summer with Johnson Controls. This is in the amount of $1.4 million. Please note that we previously approved the equipment contract for $278,000. This brings the total project cost to $1.7 million, which is $428,000 below the estimated project cost of the do not exceed price of $2.1 million.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Iverson,
Second?
second by Laura. Questions, comments?
Just that that's a good deal.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, twice
Yeah.
tonight we've heard way under budget. That's great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. Item 6.3.3, consider the change order number 5.
The proposed change order consists of 5 modifications to the project in the amount of an $89,000 addition to the contract. The changes include rerouting the underground electrical conduits around the field, concessions casework and signage revisions, and minimal adjustments to door power and the field house sprinkler. The construction contingency was approved at $525,000, and the change order adjusts the remaining contingency to $433,000. The contract for the project is adjusted to $10.9 million.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Iverson,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments here? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Moving on to 6.4.1 with the dairy products.
It is recommended to approve the bid received from Prairie Farms for the supplying of dairy products for the 25-26 school year.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Laura,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Everybody's favorite, 6.4.2.
It is recommended to approve the bid received from Bimble Bakeries for the supplying of bakery products for the 25-26 school year.
Never gets old.
So moved.
Is there, all right, good. We've got a motion by Rossman. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Laura. Any questions, comments?
You have to say the name that you recommend.
No.
All those in favor of approving Bimbo Bakeries?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's approved. Item 6.5, the approval of the SDH SAA membership resolution.
Yes, this is our annual resolution to join the Activity Association. This will be for the 25-26 school year, so recommend approval of that.
Is there a motion to approve as recommended?
So moved.
Motion by Laura,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Several second reading of policies coming up. We'll start with BCA.
Yes, no change to that, so would recommend that for approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval of the reading of BCA.
Got a motion by Laura,
Second?
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. BCB board officers.
Again, no changes from last month, so would recommend approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
Second by Laura. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. BDD, Board Superintendent Relationship.
Same, no changes from last month.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. The BE School Board meetings.
Once again, no changes from last month.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the BE.
Got a motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. GBGR, Employee Criminal Background Check.
Yes, this was actually just approved last month, and then we had our review of our background check procedures and policies, and through that review, it was recommended the strike-throughs that you see. And so because we had just approved the entirety of the rest of the policy, I'm putting it on as a second reading to approve the strike-throughs based off the audit of our policies.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. Calendar update, please.
Yes, we've been kind of waiting for this, I'm sure. Our original calendar date was to end on Friday, May 23rd. Through the adopted calendar, we had 2 built-in snow days, of which we have only had 1 snow day thus far this year. So, not to jinx us, but I am recommending that we subtract that additional snow day from this year's calendar that you approved a year and a half ago in December, and that the end of school would now be Thursday, May 22nd. And I guess we'll deal with it if there's anything further before May 22nd from a weather standpoint.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the new last day of school.
Got a motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments?
Let's not regret it, hopefully.
Gotta declare it sometime.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Open enrollments, please.
Yes, we have our, these are all open enrollments for next school year. These are kindergarten, 8 of them. So recommended that you approve these 8 kindergarten students for next year.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Rossman,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. 132810.
Yes, 113-2810 for already this year.
Is there a motion to approve?
The motion to approve the 13-28-10.
Got a motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Rossman. Any questions, comments there? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Communications, turn it over to Dr. Danis.
Yes, I have a couple just reminders for everybody. 8 coming up here on Friday and Monday will be our Easter break, April 18th and 21st. On April 25th, we do have a 12:30 dismissal for staff in service, and it was announced at the end of last week, but the Wautoma Relays has been canceled for this year. We thought we were going to be able to kind of make it all work with the construction project over there, and between lack of concessions, lack of restrooms, and lack of sound system, plus an active construction zone, we're just going to continue to just practice this year on the track. Looking forward to Wautoma Relays in April of 2026. So that's a bummer. We do appreciate all the efforts that were put towards the project by our own staff and by Haslam Construction Co-op Architects, but we just felt it was best not to chance it with everything, and it seems like the weather on that date is always 50-50 anyway, so I'm sure this year it'll be 75 and sunny.
Mark it down.
Northeast Tech Project Day is on Wednesday, April 30th. So for those of you who are fans of the Northeast Tech Project Day, I think that's 5 o'clock, open to the public there this year. Reminder to the school board and then also for the public, but we have our combined Lake Area K-12 board budget meeting at 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 1st. That's an earlier start, so 5 p.m. And then we will have one more board meeting before this, but we are planning on our retirement open house for those retirees of the district on Wednesday, May 14th. That'll be from 4 to 5 here in the high school commons.
Anything else? Item 7.2, board report to the superintendent. Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
at the State Board of Education Standards today, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. We had final readings, hearings, and approval of the following standards. English Language Arts Standards, K through 8 Computer Science Standards, Oshete Shakapui Essential Understandings and Standards, and that was approved as well. So those three have been approved by the State Board.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I could just take a couple minutes here. Actually, I do have something for the board, and that is that I'm 90% sure I will not be seeking a re-election for the school board term coming up. That's why I don't have a fancy new iPad, just in the event. But I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and just say thank you and express my gratitude and appreciation to the fellow board members, school staff, community, and in particular, actually, Diane Stiles, who is a former vice president of Lake Area Tech. She really encouraged me to consider the role 10 years ago. And also to my mom, who served in the district for 30 years, and it just felt like a nice baton kind of being handed off from her service to the district to me continuing on with the school board. Thank you to the community. Having served 10 years and reflecting on it, basically a quarter of my life devoted to the second Mondays of school board. It's just crazy. It's hard to even have this dialogue when it's just become part of the routine for the last 10 years. And to the public, again, for electing me twice on a public vote. It's sincerely humbling and appreciative. As I reflect back a little bit on the 10-year history and some of the accomplishments, I mean, there's lots of different things you could point to as a group collectively. But the building projects in particular, like the Lake Area Tech and the renovation plans, the complex are just incredible. But being able to share the story about Dr. Danielson, I mean, to me, really is kind of the capstone of a 10-year service of the board, to be able to say that I was part of the original board that helped select the person that helped lead the district and now has ultimately been recognized as the most outstanding superintendent in all of South Dakota, a first in Watertown school history. Couldn't think of a better way to just cap it off, so it's incredible. Really, the reason why I got on the board in the first place was just to give back. There's a phrase that I've always tried to keep in the back of my mind: to whom much has been given, much is required. And I feel very blessed and to be able to give back, whether it's time or resources or just my perspective. I'm not an expert. There are great board members here, but I feel like I've been able to offer a unique perspective in some cases that have helped shape some of the decisions for the district. And I've got 4 kids. And when I started on the board, I had a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old, and now I've got a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and twin 8-year-olds. So to be able to say that I helped shape the future of their education and the future of the district, keeping that in mind through the process has been rewarding for me, and hopefully in a positive way. But it's time. 10 years is a good round number. It's definitely not a goodbye. It's a see you later. I'll be cheering from the sidelines. I've got a lot going on a personal level. We've got 3 kids' activities tonight. I'm missing all of them, and my wife's counting on me. And I need to be a present husband. I need to be a present dad, and our business needs my attention as well. So again, I just feel like now is the right time. But extremely confident for what the future holds for the district. Again, how can we not? We got the guy leading, the outstanding superintendent of the year. I mean, I feel like we're in a great place. We've got great committed board members with awesome perspective, and I'm just humbled that I've been able to serve for the last 10 years. So thanks for having me and bearing with me. Appreciate it.
You still have to show up till July, you know.
I will. I will finish my duty. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. So with that, I will seek a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Got a motion by Iverson
Second.
and a second by Laura. We are in an executive session.